Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw. Welcome to my last new album review of 2013. Today we're talking about the brand new album from After the Burial, entitled Wolves Within. I've been a fan of this band ever since I saw them live in 2012, and after the concert I really just went home and got into seeing what I was missing from this band, because before the concert I kind of knew of them. I knew the name, I knew like one or two tracks. But after seeing them live was a completely different story. I went and listened to everything they put out, and I was just blown away. Now we have this new album, Wolves Within. When they announced the title of the album, great name, Wolves Within. I liked the album artwork, which I rarely talk about on reviews. If you didn't see that I did a review of the concert that I saw, they were actually opening for Devil Driver and Trivium in November of 2013. I actually got a poster of the actual album artwork signed by the band. Cool stuff there. But anyways, the actual album. So there's a lot of things to really talk about this album because there's so much going on, but I want to get to the main points that I think really concerns this album for the people that want to check out this album, and some things you need to know before going into this album. If you know of the band After the Burial, then this album I think you will enjoy in one way or another. This album I think really takes kind of the concepts and ideas of Rare Form, which is the 2008 release. Well, it's the reissue of 2008. I really love that album. That's my personal favorite album from them. This album is definitely probably coming in at number 2 for sure. But they take kind of the concepts, the writing ideas of Rare Form, and kind of take them into new directions and kind of stick with the same formula. And to some people that may be like, well, they're sticking with some of the same ideas. That may be the case, but I think that's what really makes After the Burial unique, is because they really have this unique idea of writing songs, and they have a unique way of writing riffs and putting songs together and really putting in these interesting transitions and overall coming up with probably some of the most technicalized stuff I've heard in metal. Of course, there's probably way more technical stuff I don't know, or, you know, I do listen to, I just don't really notice how technical it gets. But just the way they write riffs, it just really kind of blows my mind a little bit each time I hear new stuff from them, because it's like, how'd they come up with that riff? How'd they do that? Another thing that's really been talked about this album, and then we'll start talking about songs and all that, is the actual production value of this album, because the production quality has been noted as something that is just, it's not there. And for me, I didn't necessarily think in my head when I heard this album a couple times all the way through and just, you know, taking notes and thinking about what I wanted to say in this review. I was never really saying the production quality is low or bad, as some people are talking about this release. I'm seeing it as, you know, it can be looked at as a bad thing, but I'm looking at more of that. I think they were trying to go for a darker tone, because you really get to hear that throughout the album. The songwriting kind of helps it, but definitely the sound of the guitars, the drums, the bass, and definitely the vocals, I think really makes this a darker sounding album. And on top of that, the actual songs that are on this album definitely makes it towards me thinking that they were trying to go for a darker tone and a darker feeling and basically a darker atmosphere about this release. And you also get to see that when I was talking about the writing, because some of the riffs and some of the actual songs in general are just really toned to that heavier, crunchier, aggressive side. And so this basically the production quality they have for this album definitely makes those certain tracks that are more the aggressive and fast-paced tracks darker and just more evil sounding. So it definitely did help, but I can kind of see where people are saying that it's a bad thing the production quality is, but for me, it's not bad. I'm seeing it more of as a thing they wanted to try out, and I think it worked in some ways, and to some others, it probably didn't. But for me, I think it worked out very well. So let's actually talk about some of the actual songs. Anti-Pattern, which opened the album, which is track number 1 out of 9. They actually performed this live, and I saw them in November of 2013, last month as I'm recording this video. Great track. I have a great ending. I love the opening because it has this really awesome drum solo, which the drummer starts going off live, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? And then when I heard the actual CD version of the track, it was like awesome drum solo, and the band just goes into it and goes crazy. And then I love the ending of the track. It was really a heavy-hitting track. It's got some simplistic notes being played from the guitars, but definitely a very aggressive track to really pull in the listener, so it was a great way to pull me in to really get me ready for what's coming up next. Fearful Man and Pennyweight, which is tracks 2 and 3, great tracks as well. They kind of follow the same type of pattern as Anti-Pattern, writing style-wise. Have some very aggressive riffs here, some technicalized stuff, maybe a breakdown, or maybe just something to kind of slow down the track, but still has some heavy stuff going on. I enjoyed some of the actual parts where the guitars are kind of, bouncing off each other, kind of doing some melody things, or just basically a back and forth riff-wise. I really enjoyed how those songs were put together, but basically, track 4 is where things switch up. Disconnect, which is track number 4, clocking it almost at 6 minutes long. A great track, not only because it's almost 6 minutes of After the Barrel, but because the actual opening of the track is acoustic guitars and this awesome guitar effect on the lead guitar. But that acoustic guitar really switched it up, because the first 3 tracks we're getting used to the same technicalized aggressiveness where we come to know from After the Barrel. But after track 4, we're getting a complete 180. We got acoustic guitars hitting us, and so that was a cool switch up as well. And this track has some aggressiveness, some technicalized stuff, and all that. But definitely a cool opener, and something to kind of throw us fans off, so it was definitely unexpected. So now we're going to continue on with track number 6, Virga, as I'm hoping I'm saying that right, Virga. And my notes say it features the vocalist, the original vocalist of the band, Nick Wellner. I could be wrong, but that's what it says, and I really noticed there was a different vocalist on that track, but my notes could be wrong, so if it is wrong, make sure you comment down below, or I'll be double checking. But I noticed that, so that was a good track. Seoul, Seoul, I'm probably saying that wrong too. Track number 7 had an amazing opening guitar-wise. It was the clean guitar tone, but it had this really awesome effect on it. It sounded like it had an effect, and it was just like, it reminded me of like the track Aspiration, as I think it's pronounced on Rare Form, which is an amazing track. And so it kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but definitely a track that really, like, whoa. Like, I wasn't expecting that, because I heard the acoustic guitars, but then after that we were kind of going back into the aggressiveness throughout the whole entire album. But then we get to this track where it's got this clean guitar tone opening the track, and it's just something a little bit different, like the acoustic guitars. So, switching it up there. And then, of course, we get to track number 9, which I did skip track 8. But A Wolf Amongst Ravens is the closer, which is the track they were all promoting. It was the first single. Definitely an awesome track. If you saw them live, they were actually performing a bit of this, and they turn it into a song later on for this album. So, yeah, great stuff there. 9 tracks in total. So let's go to the actual personnel. We'll talk about how they sounded on the album and all that stuff, and we'll be done. Let's start off with lead vocals from Anthony. Anthony once again brings back the aggressiveness in his vocals, the lyrical content, and basically his voice, which is the biggest thing that I really noticed besides all the rest of the band. It was something that really stood out to me more on this album than the previous albums that he's been a part of, and of course the upgraded version of Rare Form. But his aggressiveness in his vocals really comes forward, and really just, it doesn't stop. It really keeps hitting you each time. He doesn't let go. He doesn't, like, back off a little bit. When he is actually doing his thing, which is screaming and giving you the lyrical content and basically doing what he does best, he doesn't let up. He keeps on going. He keeps on going. And you either accept it or you don't. So I suggest accept it. Once again, he did an amazing job. He sounded great. His lows, his highs were all good. Unfortunately, no singing, so we haven't got that yet from After the Barrel. Maybe at one point, but definitely something. He was just very aggressive on this album, so kind of added to more of that darker tone like I was talking about earlier. Justin Lowe and Trent on guitars. Justin, I believe, is the rhythm guitar player, and Trent, I think, is the lead player. I could be 100% wrong, but let's just talk about the rhythm sections first. So the rhythm guitars, once again, that dark, aggressive guitar tone that they are known. The live sound they have, those guitars are just amazing. But this actual album, it takes that similar guitar tone I know from live, which is amazing, and takes it more of the darker aspect with the production quality. Great riffing, very tight, aggressive playing, technicalized riffs, all the things you've come to know from After the Barrel on the rhythm guitar section, playing-wise, is there throughout the acoustic guitars, the clean guitar tone, the slower sections, the technicalized sections, the aggressive sections, the sections where it's all over the place and you don't know what's going to happen next. Just wilds of fun, some breakdowns here or there. So overall, a lot of stuff coming from the rhythm guitars. The actual lead guitars is where the actual melodies and more of the lighter side of After the Barrel comes in. A lot of great melodies. There's actually a breakdown where it sounds like a regular breakdown and like, okay, and then all of a sudden there's like these two guitars out of nowhere tapping all the way up through the frets. I'm like, whoa, melody right there on top of a breakdown. That's kind of crazy. And it really threw me off. And first time hearing it, whoa. But overall, the melodies are really what caught me. And there were some solos on here that really stood out as well. So definitely the lead playing was also a big high point for this album. So the guitars, overall, amazing work there. So let's talk about Lee on bass. His name is in quote, Lee. Bass playing wise. I actually shook this guy's hand after the second show in November 2013. Great bass player. Man, his bass guitar tone is aggressive, it's heavy, and it fits right along with the sound that they're going for, the actual rhythm and lead guitar playing and the drums and the vocals. The bass just sounds amazing. There's actually some parts where the guitars and bass are so heavy distorted and they fit right along, and I really enjoy this. Once again, the After Barrel is one of those bands that makes sure the bass is turned up, and so we can't like really listen really hard so we can hear the bass. The fact that we can just hear the bass up front is great. It doesn't overpower anything. It's just right there in the pocket, and it's really just something to just keep listening to hear if there's any bass changes, any bass differences. So it's really cool to see that once again the bass playing is heard, and overall great bass sound and great bass playing kept up with the rest of the band. Good stuff. Let's finish off with Dan on drums, and then we'll close off this review. So Dan on drums, once again, did an amazing job. I always love listening to the drums from After the Barrel. It's one of those things besides listening to the actual guitars, because my main thing when I listen to After the Barrel is the guitars, but drums are a close second. The drums have always been very technicalized too, with the double bassing. The actual drum parts, like the actual drum solos or the drum fills, are always technical, and they have something more to give than just the regular typical drum solos or drum fills. There's something more to it, and this band is known for the the more technicalized, that's the word I was looking for, the more technicalized metal riffs, and very aggressive and very kind of off-tempo riffs, and the double bass plays right along, so that has to have some sort of skill to keep up with all that. So once again, Dan did an amazing job on drums. So this album, to me, I think, not saying the bad production, I think it's a dark, good production. So overall, I think that this is a really good album from After the Barrel. It's not my favorite album, of course Rare Form is, but this album I think really delivered some great songs, some great sections, some overall great moments for the band, and I think that they'll be able to start playing these really good songs that they haven't played yet live, hoping they start playing more stuff from this album, because I think this album needs more exposure, because it's an album I think more people need to hear, because After the Barrel is one of those bands that you really don't hear about a lot, and it's not really in the spotlight in metal today. So if you have not checked out anything from After the Barrel, definitely check out this album, and of course after that check out Rare Form. But Wolves Within, great album. So my rating for this album is definitely going to be a 9 out of 10. Great release, love the stuff, and I'm actually going to listen to it some more now. So thank you guys for watching. I'm Chainsaw, see ya.